Hello everyone, my name is Nathania. I'm from International Management Department. My student number is B1024201013. And now I would like to discuss about the chapter 3 of Human Resource Management that talk about equal employment opportunity. First of all, what is equal employment opportunity? So, equal employment opportunity is the concept of equal opportunity in an organization to achieve or maintain fair employment. In this concept, all employees should be fairly treated when regarded in different decisions on employment, such as hiring, promotion, termination, compensation, and etc. It means that employees are free from race, color, religion, national origin, and gender discrimination. Nowadays, there are so many problems that are occurring in workforce. One of them is sexual harassment. Sexual harassment is an unwelcome sexual behavior that's offensive, humiliating, or intimidating. It can be written, verbal, or physical, and can happen in person or online. Sexual harassment can include someone touching, grabbing, or making other physical contact with the person without his or her consent, leering and staring at a person, making sexual gestures or suggestive body movements towards a person, insulting with sexual comments, indecently exposing themselves, and sexually assaulting a person. The difference between sexual harassment and sexual assault is sexual harassment is a much broader term than sexual assault. It doesn't have to include sexual touching or contact. It can also include sexual comments, inappropriate jokes, or showing offensive material to someone. While sexual assault is when someone is forced, coerced, or tricked into doing some sort of sexual activity, including touching, kissing, sexual acts, or penetrative sex. The potential sexual harassers happen at workplace can be supervisors, customers, vendors, co-workers, former employees, and other employees. For example of sexual harassment, such as first, physical sexual harassment, where there was a man who is like to following and stand too close to a girl on purpose. This often happens at public place or in public transportation. And the second example is visual sexual harassment, where we can see on social media there are so many people who like to send sexually explicit photos to other person without permission or randomly. In the United States, using race, gender, disability, age, religion, and certain other characteristics as the basis for choosing among people at work is generally illegal. There are expensive fines and back wages can be awarded as well as sizable lawsuit settlements. The UN also struggling with a series of sexual harassment complaints as it strives to protect human rights globally. Besides that, there are also other issues such as disparate treatment and disparate impact. Disparate treatments occurs when members of one group are treated differently from others. Often disparate treatment cases are based on evidence that an employer's actions were intentionally discriminatory. Meanwhile, disparate impact occurs when members of a protected category are substantially underrepresented as a result of employment decisions that work to their disadvantage. Workplace harassment is another form of unlawful discrimination. Employers must not only grant all genders equal pay and opportunities, they must also remedy any sexual harassment situations that are known of or of which the employer should be aware. This includes both harassment of lower-tier employees by a manager or executive and sexual harassment among co-workers. Title 7 of the Civil Rights Act prohibits an employee from treating you differently or less favorably because of your sex, which is defined to include pregnancy, sexual orientation, and gender identity. This law also prohibits employment decisions based on stereotypes about abilities and traits associated with gender. Moreover, the Equal Pay Act requires employers to give male and female employees equal pay for equal work. This means that employers have to pay men and women equally for doing substantially the same work at the same workplace. The differences in pay between men and women in the same jobs can be allowed when there are differences in seniority, differences in performance, differences in quality and/or quantity of production, and there are factors other than sex such as skills, efforts, and working conditions. There are two types of sexual harassment. First is quid pro quo is harassment in which employment outcomes are linked to the individual granting sexual favors. And the second type is hostile environment harassment, where it exists when individuals' work performance or psychological well-being is reasonably affected by intimidating or offensive working conditions. Affirmative action may be affected by growing workforce diversity. Affirmative action refers to policies that actively promote equal opportunity in the workplace or in education for people regardless of their race, gender, national origin, sexual orientation, and other factors. Workforce diversity has been the main reason of unhealthy work environment because it often leads to discrimination. Therefore, affirmative action should be implemented as the growing workforce diversity in order to avoid and minimizing the discrimination and realize equal opportunity to all employees. Next, have you ever heard about breaking the glass ceiling? Breaking the glass ceiling means overcoming the barriers set to prevent access to advancement. The glass ceiling encompasses the discrimination faced by minorities as well as women. There's a video on YouTube that talks about how to break the glass ceiling without breaking yourself. And what I get from the video is we should cultivate what our purpose is and have courage to take one step at a time so that we won't be exhausted. No matter who we are or where we are, we have to control where we focus on our energy. To be a successful person, we don't need to be what society asks us to do. The key thing is being intentional with our time and energy so we can focus on the moments that matter most. It's called intentional investing. The lesson I get from the woman's explanation is we can achieve a successful life without sacrificing ourselves or those around us. By living with intention and purpose and understand about where we spend our energy and focus, we could break the glass ceiling without break ourselves and live a life of purpose that is transformational. Then, if I were a manager in a company, I would give education for all workers about sex or gender issues, including sexual harassment, work during pregnancy, fair pay, and work-life balance. And also ensuring the employees understand and put it as a value. Then I will be transparent about the pay, give fair promotion to all employees, especially by monitoring and ensuring the development of female employees or those who are typically overlooked in these circumstances. Lastly, if there are any problems regarding to sex or gender issues, I will invite third party or outside course that is more professional in this field to solve the problem. Moreover, there is another issues about equal employment opportunities, such as individuals with disabilities. What is that? So, individuals with disabilities are people who have a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or major life activities, have a record of such an impairment, or are regarded as having such an impairment. Even though individuals with disabilities may be different with other people, but they have the rights to have equal work opportunity. Just like in America, where individuals with disability are protected with ADA, such as the Americans with Disability Act. Employers cannot refuse to hire individuals with disability as long as they are qualified to perform the essential functions or duties of a job. In conclusion, we know that it's really important to create an equal employment opportunity because it's related to human rights and well-being. Therefore, I hope by learning this chapter it will open our mind and give new point of view in looking the equality in workforce. That's all from me. Thank you for your attention.